On today's episode, we talk dumping your boyfriend, Mormon mums gone wild, and a cozy lesbian witch story. Welcome to the Good Girls Society, the podcast where we,
Jen and Sass, talk all things bookish, lifestyle, and navigating life in your 30s.
If you'd like to support our socials, you can find us at the Good Girls Society on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
And you can also find us at good.girls.pod on TikTok and Instagram.
All right. What have you been up to, Jen?
God, so much. It's been how many months now?
Like 2,
A
3?
long time. God, it has. Not much, honestly. Just kidding. No, I've been attending a lot of events. I feel like I have something to do every single weekend.
Yeah, you've been so busy.
It's crazy. I went to Phoenix the other week, which was phenomenal. Loved it. Probably would stay if I had a job.
Really?
Yeah, although it was cool. Ask me if I go when it's hot, because it might be a very different
Because
vibe
that's
on the
the
decision.
desert, right? Arizona's the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't do heat very well, so it was like a high of like 85 and it was fine. Anything hotter than that, no way.
I don't even know what 85 is in like Celsius.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Fahrenheit
Hot.
to Celsius. Gotta find out. I must know. Oh, my internet's gonna be the worst. Anyways, well, that sounds fun.
I can find it out.
I saw that you and Joe were at an event recently. I don't know if it was this one that just passed, where you were Amarantha and she was the adder, and I thought it was so cool.
That was Phoenix.
That was so cool. Like, what a fantastic cosplay idea.
It was phenomenal. I loved it so much. And Joe had to keep telling me, like, you can be mean. It's okay.
That goes against like your every atom in your body.
I know. But it was so much fun to just be Amarantha and Aubrey. It's Hella Witchling now, I think.
Yeah.
She made my dress for me and my durian ring with her company Once Upon an Atelier. So I last minute had a brand new dress made for me.
Oh, Aubrey is like the sweetest, kindest human ever. I love her.
I love her so much.
There's literally no one better. Like, what a slay.
I know. I love her.
Oh, well, that's good.
So what about you? What's new with you?
Um, Lots and also nothing. I feel like I have done so much since the last podcast episode where we left. Obviously, like, not to touch too much on it because I just don't want to give them any airtime, but I went through some pretty heinous bullying online that really like affected my self-confidence and affected my life. But where I think I'm really thankful that it happened was that I kind of went on this full-on soul-searching journey. So I stopped posting anything on my bookish account because I just honestly felt like everyone hated me. And I didn't really know.
Which is not true.
You know though, when you go through something like that, it's so traumatic and you sometimes don't know where to put your faith in people. And so I just thought the healthiest thing I can do for myself in this situation is just remove the anxiety of it all. And so I decided to start posting on my fashion account again, which I hadn't done in ages. It was sitting at about like 42K followers. And I was like, why don't I just try doing some fashion? Like, people always ask me to post fashion. So why don't I actually just give this another go? And one of my friends is also, she's a model, but she does a bit of influencing as well on the side. So we got together and like shot some really nice content. And that kind of got the ball rolling. And then just randomly, a bunch of my reels went viral, and I'm like sitting at 100K now in followers on my fashion account. So I really only
That's
have
amazing.
yeah, and I really only have the people who wanted to see me fail to thank for that, because if I hadn't gone through that traumatic experience, I would have never had the opportunity to, delve back into fashion. And now I'm back on my Bookstagram account because I'm feeling confident and, comfortable enough and secure enough in myself that I can come back. And I hope this season we can sort of touch on some things I've been doing just in regards to like happiness, because I've been on a big happiness journey and I just feel like a new person, to be honest. So, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's been
Well,
really good.
I also am on this journey, so I think it's a great thing that we should touch on.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we'll do like happiness check-ins.
I love it. Let's do it. That's going to be so much fun.
Oh, that's so nice. So, guys, we are changing the format of the podcast, which we're so excited about. We wanted to introduce some new things just to sort of touch on things like relationships and being in your 30s and, giving advice of women who've lived many lives. Because I think both of us would be in agreement that we've both done a lot in our 30 plus years on this beautiful earth.
Yeah.
So, we are changing a few things. So we're going to include some Reddit questions and also some pop culture, history facts, things that we want to talk about and things that excite us. And also, of course, the books, because the books are really important. So.
And obviously, we would never get rid of the books.
We couldn't. We could never do that. So we'll get into the Reddit question of the fortnight. So this one comes from Reddit user Samethist23. I thought this was such an intense story and I just had to share it because these people are in their 30s, which I thought was fucking funny.
Yeah.
So I, 32 female, think that I have to break up with my fiance, 35 male, after he embarrassed me in public over a sandwich.
A sandwich.
Like, you already know where this is going. All right, so for starters, I think there's a lot of layers to this situation that makes it feel like this has to be the end. My partner and I have been together for 9 years, and honestly, the first 4 to 5 years were awesome. I had genuinely never felt this way about anyone in my life, but things started to go south after that. I started to realize that he always had an excuse for not helping me cook or clean the house, no matter how much I begged and pleaded for help. He started to make me feel like going to see my family was inconveniencing him. He makes snide remarks the whole time and just makes the entire trip miserable to the point of me crying. I know it might sound dumb, but I've even started having panic attacks because of how bad he makes the holidays. He doesn't attempt to communicate in a healthy way, and it honestly feels like he waits until the very last moment until he'll apologize. In brackets, if he does.
Which most of the time they don't, let's be honest.
No. I've been on the last straw mark for a few years now, but I always end up forgiving him because I love him. It's kind of like saying when it's great, it's really great, but when it's bad, it's really bad. Okay, so now let's move on to a few days ago when he lost his shit in public over a sandwich. We had the same day off.
I still can't get over it.
We had the same day off, so we decided to run some errands and go to the sandwich shop for lunch afterwards. Honestly, the first half of the day was great until it was time for lunch. We walked in, and because it was noon, the place was packed, and unfortunately, there was only one person working, so we had to wait in the line for about 20 minutes. Is it frustrating to wait in a line that long? Yes, but I've tried to make things as positive as I could because I know he gets irritated easily. We kind of overheard the employee tell others in front of us that some ingredients were either out completely or just had gone bad. It honestly could have been because of the hurricane outage the week before. We didn't get hit horribly, but some did lose power, and I'm also not 100% sure on what was going on. Also, for a little backstory, I had an ex that worked at this particular sandwich chain, and he got me onto this sandwich that I've been eating since I was about 18, 19. And I introduced it to my current fiance, and we always get the same thing every time we go there. So finally, it's our turn, and we get everything started: bread, meat, cheese, and throw it in the toaster. She brings it out, and I tell her the next ingredient: lots of spinach. She looks at me and breaks the news that the spinach has gone bad. Bummer. But whatever. It's not the end of the world, right? My fiance standing next to me goes, "Are you fucking serious? Dude, fuck this shit. She did this shit on purpose. We're fucking leaving. Come on." And then just storms out and leaves me standing in the shop while everyone in the entire place stops and is either watching the situation or looking uncomfortable. Just think of how you feel when you see a Karen in the wild, but it was my partner. I just want to throw this little side note in there. I have extreme social anxiety as well, and he is absolutely aware of the severity of it. So I'm standing there and quietly tell the employees that he's upset. And I think we might just head out. And she hits me with the, "Nah, if you leave, I'm calling the cops." My anxiety gets even worse. The cops. What the fuck? I look at my phone and my partner has texted me, "Get that food and we're done." The cops. And I'm being broken up with. I texted him that he left me in a bad situation and he knows how bad my anxiety is. And then the employee hits me with, "I can't believe you would come in here, know that we're low in ingredients, and then waste the little that we have." I mean, she's right though. I was seriously just going to get the lettuce instead of spinach, but now I'm standing there being threatened by everyone for something that I didn't even do. I get another text from my partner. "Fuck it. Find someone else to come here and get you." Great, so now I'm stranded here. I finish building the sandwiches, pay, and try and hide behind my bag of food, hoping that he'll still be there. And thankfully, he is. Unfortunately, he decided to take out his anger on me, and for like 15 minutes straight. The whole ride home, this man blamed me, told me that I'm not a team player, and that I chose my side, while screaming at me at the top of his lungs. I was bawling. I haven't spoken to him in like 3 days. He sent me a text about how sorry he was feeling, and I'm fed up with all of it. I also have a family event tomorrow that I guess I can't make because he's got the only vehicle. So I'm going to have to disappoint my family once again. I don't know. I'm stressed out and I'm not even sure what to do anymore. If you've made it to the end of this, thank you for letting me vent. And if you have any advice, I would love to hear it.
Bye. That's my advice.
9 years
What
together.
the actual fuck, though?
9 years together, and that's how this man is acting? Boy, you got a little
I
too...
mean, yeah, it's over a sandwich. But, like, if he does this over a sandwich, what else is he going to do it over?
Yeah. And that's like verbal abuse. That's not just like a shitty boyfriend. That's like verbal abuse. The whole time I was reading this, I was like, yeah, it's a sandwich now, but what's it going to be in a couple more years?
Exactly. What's it going to be when you're officially married and stuck to him, and now you have to deal with this and you have to get a divorce and lawyers and everything else involved? Just cut it off while you're ahead.
100%. I
Like,
couldn't
that's
agree more.
nuts. Like, and then for the workers to be so rude to her when she did nothing wrong. Like, what the hell?
I mean, the fact that it was like just after the hurricane too, like I'm sure everyone's probably like stressed and whatever it is. And the other thing is that we may not be able to see is how she coped with the anxiety of it. So I imagine she was probably freaking out and potentially just froze, or like just didn't acknowledge how rude it was. Like I know like for us, we would be like, "I'm so sorry, just let me pay for this and then I'll leave.
Right.
I'll get out of your hair." But like, who knows what she did in that situation? So I probably am on the server's side, because you just don't. No one speaks to someone like that without apologizing. I don't care if it's your partner or you. I would apologize. Yeah. So I guess my first thought is like, those 4 to 5 years were really nice. What else have they done in the next 4 years that's like terrible?
Right.
And like this, if the sandwiches are the straw that breaks the camel's back, like
what else happened? Yeah.
And to be so rude to her family makes me think that he's probably like cutting her off from friends and family too, which is so abusive.
Right. It is just an abusive situation, and that's just a small little picture into her life. Because if, like you said, for what have they been doing for the past 4 years that have been just as bad, that this is the straw.
Yeah. And it it brings up a good point that when you're in an abusive relationship, half the time you don't even know you're in an abusive relationship because it becomes so normal. Because,
Right.
you know, like for her, this 9 years, like the 4 years is probably, you know, starting up here. And just like slowly these microaggressions begin. And then it becomes yelling at people and shouting in sandwich shops. And all of a sudden, you're kind of like, I wouldn't say she's normalizing it because she's obviously gotten on a Reddit forum, but it makes
Right.
you think like, have you normalized a lot of this, and how often other women are probably putting up with this?
Yeah.
Scary. So
I,
my advice is dump him.
yeah. Leave as fast as you can. And but see, then that's another thing. Like, she doesn't even have a car. He's got the only vehicle, which also makes me think that that's done on purpose.
Yeah. Well, that's also a manipulation tactic, isn't it, really? When you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dump him, get a restraining order,
Um,
leave everything, go live with your
leave
family
as
for a while.
fast as you can.
Yeah. 100%. I'm glad we're in agreement on that one.
I feel like if we weren't, it would be a big problem.
Imagine if I was like, nah, that's really normal. I'm so used to that behavior.
It's so normal. What do you mean? Like, God. Mm-mm.
Now, while we were on our break, a really great show aired for the first time, the first season. And Jen and I have been hanging out to have this conversation. We haven't had any conversations about this, so you're going to hear it
No,
firsthand. And Jen, do you want to tell us what it is? Because I don't even want to say it out loud.
I do. The Real Lives of Mormon Wives. I love this show.
So good.
It's trash, but it's phenomenal.
I think it's the best trash we've had in a long time.
Oh yeah. And
Like,
the fact that they just do whatever they want, but they're Mormon.
yeah. And I didn't, like, for me, I didn't really know much about Mormons. I'm not going to lie. Like, most of the stuff I've learned about Mormons has been through this show. And boy, oh boy, it's a rabbit hole.
Oh, I have plenty of documentaries I can send you on what is the Mormons because I've seen plenty.
Oh my God.
It is crazy. And they are like not Mormon. Like, I don't know how they're still allowed in the church, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's a lot. Um, let's go through the characters because I feel like obviously this is a very character driven show, but there's just so
Yeah.
much to discuss. So let's start off with our girl, Taylor Frankie Paul. So probably good to know she's like 30 years old. I thought she was so much younger.
Yeah.
Wild.
No, they're all like in their 30s. I think there's a couple that are in their 20s still, but most of them are in their 30s, I think.
Yeah, well we'll go through them. I've got all the ages on here. But yeah, Taylor Frankie Paul. I love her.
She's hilarious. And it's so dramatic because for those of you who haven't watched it, it starts out with her getting a divorce and then goes right into her being pregnant. And you're like, where did this come from?
Yeah, like that very first episode. I think they said they filmed the whole season over 2 years because of her
Something like that.
yeah, because of her small stint in jail and um everything that went down in that
Yeah.
first episode. Like, wow. And it's so funny as well because you see the housewives change their hair so much. Because like there's obviously been like a year
Yeah.
between the first episode and the next or something. Um, I personally, like, I didn't know anything about like the mum talk drama. I didn't really get it. I think I probably saw like, you know, like gossipy TikToks here and there, but I don't really watch gossip TikToks. So I was probably like, I don't know who this is. I'm like not really for that. But to watch
Oh
this,
no, I lived for it. I lived for all of this drama when it was going down. Like the swinger scandal, like I'm like, holy fuck, what?
yeah. And I guess as well, probably because I didn't understand Mormon culture and like how incredibly salacious this is. I didn't really buy into it.
Yeah.
But then watching it and hearing, yeah, that she went on a live and just basically outed all her friends as swingers. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Well, especially when them being the primary breadwinner is already so controversial.
Yeah.
Like they're very traditional where the man is the like breadwinner, like he goes and works, the woman stays home, takes care of the kids, like very traditional family roles. And then for her to come out and be like, "Oh, by the way, we're all swinging together."
Insane.
like
So,
crazy to me.
yeah, so I think like a lot of people went in thinking that Taylor Frankie Paul was going to be the villain of the season, but turns
Yeah.
out she was probably the chillest one out of all of them. If anything, I feel like she flew
She
under the
just
radar.
doesn't care.
Yeah, she doesn't, which is so funny. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Taylor Frankie Paul. I really like her.
Yeah.
I like her sense of honesty, and it makes you kind of trust her. Like, I think you can trust her with things. Like, maybe not telling her your deepest, darkest secrets because she'll probably like tell everyone. She doesn't care. But I think
She'll
she's
just
a
tell
very,
everybody them. It's
yeah,
fine.
she's just a transparent person. And I think like we all needed Taylor Frankie Paul in our lives.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And then we've got Demi. Had to get that one right because I think her
Yes.
name is like Demetria. I'm pretty sure.
But she's the one who has the kind of like what controlling husband, right?
No, Demi has the older husband.
Oh, you're right, you're right, you're right.
She's got
Okay.
like the hot daddy husband. Like she was
Yes.
slaying. I loved Demi. She was probably one of my favorites of the season. I just think she has her head screwed on right.
Well, and she's got a hot ass husband.
Yeah, she sure does. The Fruity Pebbles thing though,
Stop. It's hilarious.
like, but do you know what it is?
No.
So, someone sent me a meme. I'm gonna have to find it for you now because it was on.
Well, I thought I did, but now I'm concerned. Do I not? What is it?
Hold on. When your girlfriend puts raspberries in your bum and you subsequently fart them into her mouth. You want to eat some Fruity Pebbles tonight, baby?
Oh my god. That's not what I was thinking.
Well, it kind of checks out with like how Whitney was hovering over, I think it was Michaela, and she was like trying to recreate the Fruity Pebbles incident. And like then when I read that, I was like, oh no. So, I mean, go off. Whatever floats your boat. Who am I to judge?
But also, like, how disrespectful to like give her for a whole box of Fruity Pebbles as a gift.
And then like out it to everyone in the group who like didn't know.
Right. Like, it'd be one thing if like I did it to you and it was just like our close friends, but like in front of a whole party of people, like,
With cameras there. Not the
right.
best move.
And you know that that's going on the show. They're not going to not. It's too perfect.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Demi, big fan of her hair. I think she has the best hair of everyone. I love her hair.
Yes.
So good. I'm pretty sure it's not extensions either. I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
she's one of the only ones who doesn't wear the wefts.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, she's just fucking beautiful.
I don't
And
know.
again, 30 years old. Slaying.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one.
Crazy. Now it makes me feel so old. Like we're so old.
Old but like slaying, I think. Maybe.
Totally. Yeah, why?
Next we got Jennifer Affleck, our little Jen. Oh my god. I feel so sorry for Jen.
She's the one with the husband, right?
She's the one with the horrible husband who's like in med school, but is also
Yeah.
has a
Who
gambling.
like wanted to divorce her for going to the Chippendales?
Yeah, that's the guy. I think like the whole internet just wants them to get a divorce, and she's like, no. Even though she's like
But
bankrolling.
then again, that goes back to the fact that women in those situations think it's normal. But then again, it is normal in the Mormon like religion.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine as well, and like this is not to excuse his behaviors, but like I imagine it must be very difficult to have a family that wants you to become a doctor and like there really is no other choice for you.
Yeah.
Your wife is the main breadwinner of your family, and then you've also got the Mormon culture. So he's probably feeling a lot of conflicted feelings about everything. And again, I'm not excusing his behavior because he was disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
one of the worst. I think that's probably one of the worst
Mm.
people that I've seen on reality TV, just being themselves.
Yeah. Although I watch a lot of reality TV, so I've seen a lot worse than him.
I think though to like I guess make it so obvious. Like I know there are people who go on reality TV and they are cast as villains and they are like put in these situations where it's like, you know, you will get a lot of attention from being this way. Like I completely get that. But this guy is like this narcissistic, horrible human hiding in plain sight. And he thought he could get away with that behavior on a television show
Yeah.
that is worldwide, and women especially wouldn't be like, hey, you're a creep, you're an asshole, divorce him, Jen.
Right.
Just to so brazenly, like he didn't even hide it. We're on the first season and he so brazenly was able to just act like that. Oh, hate it. And also,
And that's the sad part is there's so many men like him in that culture.
that makes me sad. And like Jen's hair the
Yeah.
whole season was so like oily and like not looked after, and it just made me think like she's not putting herself first. Like that's all I could think. I wasn't like, ew, gross, she's dirty or
No.
she's disgusting or she doesn't look after herself. I was just thinking this girl is putting other people before her own needs, which is so sad.
Right. It's a shame.
Jen. All right, next we have Jessie, who's the hairstylist. So she is the oldest of the group. She's 32, so still 2 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Jessie. I think she's awesome.
Yeah. But I hate that she describes herself as the grandma. That kills me.
Right? She doesn't look like a grandma. Like she definitely looks like she's had
Like,
work done, but
no. Which is another thing. Like, they can't put drugs or alcohol in their bodies because of the Mormon faith, but they're all getting plastic surgery. Like, what?
it's insane. And like, so I have obviously seen a lot of TikToks after watching the show because like TikTok just like listens to everything you do. And
Of
someone
course.
was saying like it's really not normal to get like happy gas when you're getting Botox done. And I was like, yeah, I just had some numbing cream.
No.
Insane.
Right. Like, but they think it is because that's how they can get their little high.
Their little highs. I do want to point out that neither Taylor or Jessie are actually practicing Mormons. So those two, they went on a podcast
Right.
and they said, no, we're not practicing Mormons. So the rest are practicing, but Taylor, Frankie Paul, and Jessie, they both don't practice, which is why I thought it was so funny that Hulu decided to keep Jessie and her husband's like alcohol scene in there, when like they knew she's not a practicing Mormon, which is
Right.
why she's drinking. So, like they are all connected.
It's for the drama. Like, it's all drama.
Yeah, 100%. So they're all connected to the Mormon church by something. Like Taylor's, I think her parents are Mormon. So like they still are in the community, but they're both not. Layla, probably the most lackluster person
Yeah.
in the cast, in my opinion. She is also the youngest though, so I'm not trying to be mean. I don't mean it in like a mean way. I just mean in like she's very drama free, very like everything free. I didn't get a lot of personality.
No, but maybe, who knows? Maybe she will come back and give us some more next time.
She'd want to have to, because otherwise they'll get rid of her and they'll get new cast members.
That's true.
And how it works. Oh my god, then we had Macy. So Macy's 29.
Valid.
I thought she was like a lot younger than 29, but Macy actually, yeah, Macy has the most interesting backstory. I'm not sure if you've heard this too, but she was a former Division 1 tennis player and was like competitive, and then her husband tragically died. And like, her whole journey sounds amazing. So I'm hopeful that next season's gonna delve more deeply into her backstory, because it sounds tragic and so sad. And she's such a nice, warm, kind person from what we can see on the screen. So,
and she's doing so much too. Like, even though she's been through all of that, like she's still like, she runs her company and she raises her kids and all of that. Like, she's still like, she's not letting that define her, which I really like.
Yeah, I love it. Then we have Michaela. Michaela's only 24. I thought she was a lot older than 24. Sorry, Michaela. I think it's just because of her maturity.
Baby.
Yeah, I think it's probably just her maturity, because like obviously she had a first kid when she was like 16 or something, which is and her partner was 20.
No, also normal for Mormons, but still,
that's whack. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about Michaela.
But she also is very sick.
Yeah, she is. She's got all those skin problems, right? And she doesn't know what's wrong with her.
But I do like the fact that they don't try to hide that.
Yeah.
And I feel like they usually try to just hide all of that. But with her, like, they're really letting her put that out there. And I really like that.
Yeah. No, I like it too. And then finally we have Whitney. So
drama freaking central, man.
Whitney's 31. So there's so much that I want to say about Whitney, but I also have this like fierce protector in me where I don't really like the way everyone's like gone against her. Like, is she the best person I've ever like seen on TV? No. She seems like she's got a lot of issues, but I also feel like the whole internet coming for her in the grand scheme of things is a lot for like how she's behaved. Like, I honestly think she has a personality disorder.
She probably does. I mean, with the way she's acting. But the husband doesn't do anything either. Like, he doesn't help the situation.
He's just a gossip. He's like, hey, did you hear about what happened?
Yeah.
I fucking love her husband. I think he's hilarious. Although the first time I saw him, I was like, that guy's gay. That's a gay guy. But then what do I know?
I have a feeling a couple of them are.
Yeah, true. They made a TikTok the other day and it was like, I think it's a City Girls song. It's like, yeah, it's Friday night. And so the girls did it and then all the husbands did it. It was so good. Although Dakota was in it.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, gross. But like I personally think Whitney just has like a personality disorder. Like, someone was saying that she consistently changes her style. Like, she reinvents her style every couple of like months. And I was like, oh, that's a big personality disorder trait. Like, to change your style constantly is because you don't have a feeling of belonging. And that's like very clearly personality disorder. And then like all of the behaviors that she displayed, I was like, this girl just needs to be in therapy, man.
They all need therapy. Everybody needs therapy, and I will stand by that.
Well, I think Taylor was saying that all she does at the moment is film, go to therapy, and look after her kids.
That's good. So at least she's at least going.
Yeah, 100%. I'm way too deep into their lives. Like, I feel like I follow all of them, and I'm like, yeah, keep me updated, guys.
I love it. Anything else you want to talk about with it?
Just that I hate Dakota. I hate him.
He's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But they need a
Truly.
villain, so they're not going to get rid of him.
That's true. Yeah, and the fact that like they're still together, I just find it so weird. It's too much.
But that's also a Mormon thing. Like you're not really supposed to leave.
Yeah.
And they're like the most Mormon out of all of them.
Are they? Taylor's not a practicing Mormon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Jen's husband. I'm not thinking Dakota. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I can't
Dakota's
stand him.
not. Like he's so I feel like he's a bit of a clout chaser. Like the fact that he found her through Instagram and like he's always
Oh
online
yeah.
now and he's always like filming himself being like, "Hey guys," I'm like, "Shut up." No one cares what you have to say.
No. And he's not even cute, like at all.
He's tall. He's tall.
There's many tall men in the world. Not good enough, Taylor. Not good enough.
Yeah, like considering she could have like the pick of the bunch. She's so pretty and so personable
Yeah.
and so fucking rich. Like, why are you with this deadbeat?
I don't know.
Again, Jen,
It's
what do we
ridiculous.
know?
We don't know anything apparently. So,
We don't know anything.
all right. So you ready to talk about our book?
I'm so ready.
Yes. So I just re-listened to it because I read it in the summer and I forgot how much I loved it.
Right? It's so
It's
cute.
so cute.
The story is The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. And I just want to point out that this morning, Sydney followed me. I got followed by Sydney.
So jealous. Oh, I
Hi,
love it.
Sydney. I love you.
Hi.
Yeah, because I did a cosplay yesterday. I am like trying out a new format of cosplay and just like switching up my whole vibe. And I decided that I would cosplay Lottie because I'm like covered in tattoos. I have a red wig. So I was like, I'm just going to do Lottie.
I
And then
love
she
it.
followed me.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, like a bit of a full circle moment because I love this book so much. Guys, we do just want to put it out there that like content warnings for this book. If you do read it, there's death of a relative, gore, and horror. So even though it is, I'd probably consider it to be more YA than I would consider it to be an adult book. But there are some pretty gnarly scenes, so just keep that in mind.
And if you're close to your grandmother like me, you will cry. So, just a warning because I forgot about that and cried on my way to work.
Oops.
My bad. All right. So, if you don't know, the honey witch can never find true love, and that is her curse to bear. But when a young woman who doesn't believe in magic arrives on her island, sparks fly in this deliciously sweet debut novel of magic, hope, and love overcoming all, which is just so cute. 21-year-old Marigold Claude had always preferred the company of the spirits of the meadow to any of the suitors who tried to woo her. So when her grandmother whisks her away to the family cottage on a tiny Isle of Innisfree with the offer to train her as the next honey witch, she accepts immediately. But her newfound magic and independence come with no one can fall in love with the honey witch. When Lottie Burke, a notoriously grumpy skeptic who doesn't believe in magic, shows up on her doorstep, Marigold can't resist the challenge to prove to her that magic is real. But soon, Marigold begins to care for Lottie in ways she never expected. And when darker magic awakens and threatens to destroy her home, she must fight for more than her new home at the risk of losing her magic and her heart. I loved it. It's definitely like Bridgerton meets like witchy, practical magic, cozy vibes. And I just loved it so much.
That is 100% exactly how I would describe it. I'm pretty sure that's how I described it when I was reviewing it. It is Bridgerton meets practical magic, because at the start it feels very Bridgerton, like we start at a little ball and they're dancing and it's very, very cutesy, and I was like, how's this going to turn into a witch novel? Like, I don't get it.
Right.
um and then one thing I really, really loved about this book was, and like we all know that I love aesthetics and like vibes in a book, and this book just delved so deeply into aesthetics and the beauty
Yes.
of Innisfree and just living this country lifestyle that's very like witchy and in tune with nature. So I have seen a few reviews out there, because we all know that once I've read a book, I love to go and look at the 1-star reviews. And a lot of the 1-star reviews was like DNF'd at 20%, DNF'd at 30%. And I'm like, I don't think some people realize that some books have a rolling, beautiful story where
Right.
you are there for the vibes. Like, it's not always about some big plot or something
And
crazy
20% is
happening.
not even enough to like get in there.
No, I don't think so either. But again, what do we know?
Nothing apparently. So, whatever.
I think as well, like for both of us, we're both quite witchy people, and like I know myself, I love to be in nature and I love to like be in tune with the seasons. And this
Mhm.
book kind of helps you to experience that. I think you feel the joy and the beauty of
Yeah.
nature and loving animals, and yeah, just like looking after your home and nature. It's just a beautiful book.
I loved it so much. And the vibes were immaculate. And I think that's what got me to read it in the first place was like all of Sydney's like aesthetic posts. And I was like, this is beautiful. The book is beautiful. Then you got some sapphic in there. I'm in. Sold.
Yeah, because
Sold.
I'd seen the book is so beautiful. Like the cover is just stunning, and I was like, oh, that just seems like a nice
Yeah.
book to read. Like I didn't know anything about it, and then I found out it was sapphic, and I was like, pushing that one up the TBR.
That's coming home with me.
No, it really was just a beautiful experience. Um, the whole book just like, I think that I love like the character driven plot. I really enjoyed the actual plot. I liked the magic system as well. Like I thought it was an interesting magic system. Like a lot of thought and care I think went into that, and just the bees. The bees were so
I know.
sweet.
Well, especially when she like accidentally gets the one to sting Lottie and then she like sobs over the fact that he like it's dead. And I'm like, no, not the bee.
And yeah, like this sapphic tale as well, I think is really nice if you're looking for romance without any spice. You know, when you've read a few too many books and you're like, I'd need a break from like her throbbing
Yes.
core, her entrance, her slippery folds. Like
Uh-huh.
I found this book to be quite a nice like love story without slippery folds.
That was oh, I hate it.
And fuck, I keep forgetting what I was gonna say. No, it's gone. I keep having this thought and then I lose it.
Well, I just loved it and I I love how grumpy she was. And I know that we find out why towards the end of the book, but like I loved the like enemies to lovers that was happening with the two of them.
Yeah, the grumpy sunshine. So cute.
Yes, it was adorable.
I love that Lottie was like heavily tattooed. Like it's not something that you would
Yes.
expect to read in such a like fluffy sweet little
Right.
book to have like a heavily
And
tattooed main
that
character.
Mary wanted her to tattoo the bee on her.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I loved it. It was just so cute.
Yeah, it's one of those books that I think is so cozy and like especially for me right now coming into spring, it's such a nice little spring novel or even just something to like
Yeah.
cozy up with by the fire. I think this season it's just it's just one of those cute books. And
Yeah, well, especially with the fall. I mean, even though it was like a spring book, like it's just one of those seasons where you just want to read those like cute and cozy books and like with your blanket and your sweater and just getting all like snuggled up. Like it was just the perfect book for that.
100%. And I think as well, you could buddy read this with like your mum. Like you could do like a buddy
Yeah.
read with your mum or your bestie or someone that like maybe you don't talk about, like the dark romance kind of stuff or that kind of stuff. Like it's a cute buddy read with
Yeah.
someone that you love and you want to share something cute with. Because as well as the love story in there, you've got some really nice friendship stories in there too, which I think make the book even more cozy and more comfortable. Like there's no real there's no anger or animosity really between the characters, which I absolutely love. Like it's just a lot of like friendship and happiness and honoring friends and people that you love.
Yeah. And I loved the fact that she felt so out of place at home. And then she finds out that she's this witch and she just really comes like into herself and she finds her people and her found family. And then they all go back and they like all mesh together so perfectly. Like, oh, it was just so cute.
Yeah, it's almost like a coming of age story as well. Like it's kind of like a
Yeah.
finding yourself. It's Eat, Pray, Love, but for witches.
I love it.
Me too. Moving on to Spice. Pretty icy.
Yeah. There
Not a lot
wasn't,
going on.
I mean, they had their moments, but it wasn't like in your face spice.
Lots of pining and longing and, like very subtle affection, which again, I think is nice. Sometimes you need a book like that.
Well, especially when you want like something cozy and like cutesy, and you get that. Like it is that burning desire, that longing, that like I don't know, it's just like sweet, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I did like to like I feel like a lot of times books when they talk about like men loving men and women loving women, like I feel like there's still like a little bit of a stigma with characters. And they didn't have that in this. And I loved that. Like it even though it was set like back in the time of like Bridgerton and like the Regency era, they were so open and accepting to like the LGBTQ like relationships and like um whatchamacallit, like her and Lottie, and then you have the brother and what's his face? Not Austin. What was his name? August? August?
Pass. Pass, can't remember.
Fine.
Um
It's okay.
it's so fine. It's so fine. No, you're right. There was absolutely no stigma around it. And like sometimes it is a
Yeah.
good a good plot development point to have that sort of stigma around gay characters and like it makes you feel like you're living in the real world and we've all dealt with the stigma of being a certain way or being sexualized
Yeah.
for our sexuality. Like I still find it a lot. I still get sexualized a lot on my Instagram, on my bookstagram, especially by women. I get sexualized a
Hmm.
lot, which is quite uncomfortable for me. So
Yeah.
I do kind of like,
As I'm over here telling you that you're my wife and that you're hot as shit all the time.
you're not a stranger with a husband who's messaging me on DMs and telling me
Valid.
things that I don't want to hear. Um, we can delve into that on another episode, though. But I think in this circumstance, it is also nice to have this like make believe fluffy world where everything is perfect and everyone's accepted. Like it's so good. It works well in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Got something in my throat.
No.
So annoying. So I think my thoughts on the story at large, I really love the character development. I feel like I think with a grumpy sunshine duo, there's always so much character development. There's reasons why they are the way they are. And that it's always a good story. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, yeah, tell me more about this grumpy bitch. Like, I love this.
I know, and her story was so sad.
Like, horrible.
Ugh.
Yeah, it just kind of reminds you that you should never judge guarded people because you just never know like what they've been through, and it's a good reminder.
You should never judge anybody because you don't know what they've been through. Like, and that's something like we as a community really need to get through our heads. Like, we all have lives. We all go through our own traumas and our own issues and things, and we need to just be kind to each other. Like, but that's another episode for us too.
Yeah, we could go on for ages, but yeah, I really, really loved the character development. Again, I think this definitely was a character-driven story, which you guys already know I love. I'm a big fan of the character-driven plot,
Yeah.
so shoot me. And
It's
I think
fine.
I think as well, I mean, listen, I can't really remember off the top of my head, but as far as like diversity in like ethnicity, I don't think there was a lot of diversity as far as I remember. But there was
No, but that's also historically accurate, really.
yeah. But there was a lot of diversity in sexualities, and I think that's important to note. So yeah, I think maybe it could have been a little bit more diverse because it is this like made up story and like homosexuality was accepted. So why are there not more diverse cast? That's probably the only thing that I would like bump this one down a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially like characters like Mr. Benny and like other characters like that. Like they didn't not that they didn't have to be white. I mean they didn't, but like they could have although it is Ireland.
Yeah, but it's fantasy.
That's true.
And it's 2024.
Very true.
I just think it could have. I really do think we're at the point in
it is definitely a big problem that needs to be addressed in the fantasy world. That's for sure.
It's a big problem that needs to be addressed in the bookish world, I think.
Yeah.
Like I just think at large,
Valid.
we're just not very.
It's a big problem that needs to be addressed in the whole world in general.
Just in general, guys, can we cast more diverse? Can we just cast more diverse characters? I just think it just would have been nice to even have, like some South Asian characters. I mean, if we're talking about the Regency era, like India and the UK were like quite closely linked. Like there's a lot that we could have done there. But again, it's probably like the one gripe that I have. And I think moving forward, it is something that I'm going to start speaking on a bit more because, I'm picking my battle and this is my battle this year.
You know what? Diversity. We all have to have them.
Did you have any other thoughts about the book? Anything that you loved or hated or wish was different?
I loved it so much. It was such like a cute, cozy book that I needed. Like I'm in my cozy era right now. Last year I was in my Bridgerton era, and now I'm in my cozy, like cutesy era. So this was like the perfect leeway into that when I had a little bit of both. So I don't have much negative to say.
I love it. Well, my overall rating for this one is going to be a 4 out of 5 honeybees.
I love it. Mine's a 5 out of 5 because it was just so cute.
Oh, I love that, Jen. We love a 5 out of 5.
I literally just re-listened to it and I already want to re-listen to it again.
Fair. Valid.
It's just so cute.
No, it is. And that's what I was going to say. The audiobook is also really good. I loved the audiobook.
Yeah. Because I read it first, and then when I was in Phoenix, I gave Joe my book and was like, read this. You're going to love it. And then I downloaded the audiobook so that I could catch up for the podcast.
Oh, well, I love that.
Yes, so cute.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week.
Make sure you give us a follow on our socials.
You can find us at good.girls.pod on Instagram and TikTok.
And the Good Girls Society on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music.
See you next fortnight, Good Girls.